Swami Nityananda. I mispronounced her last name, so I want to make sure I pronounced it correctly now. Love. When you hear it, I wonder what you think. Swami is a yoga practitioner, very much into the first questions I ask her is about love, God, divine, light. Very much a follower of the Buddha, and very spiritual, very connected, very community orientated. Meditation is a big part of her life. We talk about when I mention love, God, divine, light. I wonder how you pull them together. Where do they overlap? She has a very interesting answer. Her whole perspective, her light inside of her is very bright and contagious and lovely. Her view on discipline tied together with, well, spoiler right now, with love. I've never heard that angle before. Absolutely amazing. Love my conversation. Love my time with Swami. I hope we get to do it again, but she really great insight. I do ask about art versus science again with her as well. Interesting answer. Thank you, Swami. And thank you for listening and watching. Hi, I'm Joey Pinz, and here's my 45-second introduction. After starting my business in the 90s, I started developing poor habits of eating in my diet because of working way too much. Before you know it, I found myself 340 pounds. The doctor told me if I don't lose the weight, I'm not going to see my daughter graduate. Took the next 7 months, lost 130 pounds. People think there's some secret. Ask me, how'd you lose that weight? Like there's some secret. There is no secret. How'd I lose the weight? Just one word, discipline. I've had other successes in life, and I attribute them all to discipline. Now, I'm not the king of discipline, but I believe that it can help all of us. Friends, colleagues convinced me to start a podcast. The podcast mission? How do we better ourselves and society? I talk to interesting people in health, fitness, sport, wellness, business, technology, science, art, and culture. And I eventually ask them how discipline plays a role in their life. Podcast vision, growth through learning from others. Swami Nityananda, thanks for your time today. Describe your relationship with love.
Oh, fantastic question. So my understanding of love, and I should say that I'm coming from a background of yoga philosophy, and yoga philosophy is shared in texts like the Bhagavad Gita and the Upanishads and the Yoga Sutras, and it teaches all humans to live in lasting happiness. And so my understanding of love is that love is intrinsic to our nature. So it's the energy that asks questions through you. It's the smile that greets people through you. It's the way that you connect with listeners. It's the energy. Every human is always connected to it, and we're always expressing it in the way that it can only uniquely express through us. And so it's actually just the life energy that shares through us. It's the music that musicians sing when they sing. It's if you are like an engineer, it's the way that you design bridges, or you might be designing electrical systems depending upon what kind of engineer you are. And it's the energy that thinks through each human, that speaks through each human, that acts through each human.
In this fast-paced MSP landscape, how do you stay ahead? Introducing MSPinfluencer.com, your ultimate hub for MSP news, insights, and community connection powered by Forza Dash. More than 75,000 MSPs subscribe to our MSP Influencer Pulse weekly newsletter, staying informed and ahead of industry trends. Tune in to emerging podcasts from Joey Pinz and leading MSP voices, offering essential tips, powerful insights, and success stories. Explore our multi-authored blogs, crafted specifically for MSP leaders, delivering fresh perspectives and actionable strategies. Celebrate excellence with the industry-leading Forza-MSP Influencer Awards, recognizing innovation, leadership, and impact in the MSP community. Join thousands of MSP professionals who trust MSPinfluencer.com to grow their business and expand their networks. MSPinfluencer.com, where today's MSP leaders connect, collaborate, and conquer, all powered by the Forza Dash platform, helping MSP vendors work effectively with MSPs and helping MSPs grow. Is it always benevolent?
Love, my understanding is it's always benevolent. My understanding is as well that humans can misunderstand and can miscommunicate. And so that would be just like human confusion. So humans can act not skillfully, or they can act skillfully. And so we probably all experience this. Like, I can give you a concrete example. I was talking to someone last week, and she had dinner with a friend. And then at the end of the dinner, her friend just made a really rude, ignorant comment that was insulting. And she had to decide, do I want to carry that? Do I want to carry the weight of that comment and allow it to help me feel miserable the rest of the
Mm.
night? Or would I like to just say, that person made a rude, ignorant, insulting comment? How would I like to feel? And so she chose to focus on what she would like to feel. And so that's an example, like, the person who made the rude, ignorant comment, they were in the consciousness and energy of not understanding how to express more skillfully.
Mm. But there are occasions, Swami, where there's not love, right? Do you believe in evil?
So I believe that humans can so feel separated from
Mm.
the divine and from truth and reality that they act in complete willful misunderstanding and ignorance, and that they cause terrible pain and suffering for
Mm.
themselves. And the way that the yogis say this, if I commit an act that expresses hatred, I'm actually committing that act to myself. Right now, it might seem as if I'm directing it toward another. The effects of it, I will feel directly in myself. I cannot escape it. So if I'm acting generously and kindly, that will come back to me. But if I'm acting with malice, if I'm acting in ways that cause harm, if I'm acting in ways that cause pain, I will feel the suffering that I create. And the yogic teachings are really powerful about this. They say, I will create sufferings for myself beyond this lifetime.
Hmm.
That beyond this lifetime, I will keep feeling the effects. So if I am causing other humans to experience misery, that will come back to me as well.
Define God.
So the yogic teachings, and this is my direct experience as well, say that God is not separate and not apart from us, so that
Hmm.
we are constantly connected to, you could call it like pure awareness, you could call it supreme love, you could call it pure light. And the question is, to what degree am I consciously allowing that connection to share through me? So for
Hmm.
every human on the planet, we are connected. And the question is, am I recognizing that connection? And am I allowing that energy of kindness to share through me? And so, this is the universal teachings of truth that appear in every culture I know of, which say, do unto others as you would have them
Hmm.
do unto you, and which say that it's important to live in goodwill and respect in relation to other humans, in relation to the earth, and that if we don't, then we do create disruptions for
Hmm.
ourselves, and we will experience the cause of that.
So God is always with a small g.
The supreme is much more powerful than anything human. So, I
Hmm.
mean, I think you could say it's supreme love with a capital L.
Let's see. And how about divine? Define divine.
Divine would be the expression of that infinite wisdom, that grace, that love that is always here expressing through each of us. So, like, I've just noticed in listening to your podcast, you have this ability to connect with your listeners in a way that helps everyone feel almost like a universal friendship or
Hmm.
a universal connection or a universal kinship. So that would be like a natural, very pure hearted way that the divine expresses through you. And for every listener, this would be for each listener to identify, what are the natural ways in which kindness shares through me or wisdom shares through me. And my understanding is that every human comes carrying wisdom, every human.
Hmm.
And so when we meet humans in this way, then it becomes very interesting, because just going to the grocery store, walking down the street, riding the bus, we're encountering humans who sort of spontaneously and naturally share what is highest and best in themselves when we're moving in this energy.
Swami, it seems like there's a lot of overlap. Love, God, divine.
Yeah.
I've heard you speak, and when finding out about you, if there's a Venn diagram, there's certainly a lot of area
Yes.
that they're similar. And is that by design? Is that surprise you? Is that
I would say it's the most natural thing in the universe that
Mm.
love and God and the divine are overlapping. And there are so many different stories about this, but just the energy of the heart for each human, the energy of the heart, if we connect with the energy of the heart, it helps us connect with what is true in us, with what is real, with what is lasting. And there's also, I would say, when we're in contact with the energy of the heart, which is, you could refer to it as love, you could refer to it as the
Mm.
divine, but you're in contact with, there's also a peace that underlies all the pairs of opposites. So in time and space, it's natural. You experience heat and you experience cold and you experience pain and you experience pleasure. You experience gain and you experience loss. But deeper than all of that, there is a peace. There is a quiet. There is a wholeness. And I would say for a lot of people, they might connect with this in nature. That's a thing that I hear a lot. Or with their pets, like if you
Hmm.
have a cat or a dog. I hear people talking about their birds in this way too. With children, if you have loved elders with whom you connect, some people, it's like dancing, they connect with that energy, or it's singing or playing music, they connect with that energy. It's those moments, I hear rock climbers talk about that as well, those moments where the mind kind of becomes still and there's nothing more than you can think about. Like I've heard rock climbers say, the only thing you can think is where does the right hand go next? Where does the left hand go next? And there's like a suspension of the kind of conversation and chatter of the mind. And there's just a kind of quiet. There's a direct knowing and there's a clarity and a peace. And so meditation, for example, is a practice that helps you be directly in contact with that. And then when you meditate and are in direct contact with that, that energy is able to share with you and also through you for the rest of your day.
You have these great on your social media, Swami, you have these great quotes, and I just kind of read them and I soak them in for a little bit. I actually found myself kind of reading one and then just going for a little walk, getting away from the kind of technology and just. So the first one was, if you are pure of heart, you will be able to connect the divine everywhere. So it's almost like that you're don't try too hard, try less.
So I would actually say thank you for that observation. It was really beautiful the way that you put that. I would actually say it is natural to us to be connected
Hmm.
with what is highest and best in ourselves. And we forget. So humans forget because we experience, the yogis call it ignorance. And by that, they don't mean anything critical. They just mean that in time and space, we forget that we are connected to pure source energy, whatever your word for it is, to quiet and peace. I love what you said about just taking a quick walk. It can even be like
Yeah.
a 5-minute walk that you just sort of connect with. There's a quiet that's always available. And I agree with you very much. It's actually natural to us
Mm.
to be in contact with that peace.
I couldn't help but, make some comparisons. One, I just thought of, as a kid, I saw Star Wars, and when Luke Skywalker is being trained by Yoda, the Skywalker was young and rebellious and said, "I'll try," and he says, "Don't try, do it or do not." Just let it happen. And I thought of a music lyric was this is by you too. If you want to touch the sky, you better learn how to kneel. So
Mm,
immediately, if you want to touch the sky, you think, okay, let's go towards it. No,
mm,
it's actually the exact opposite. Kind of get
mm.
down. The next quote I loved: God illuminates the universe. We need to remember to look to the light and see that.
I love what you said about Yoda and
Mm.
also you too. I just wanted to acknowledge that. I mean, like, so I would say there is there's wisdom everywhere. I mean,
Mm.
both of the examples that you gave are indicators of that. But so like the U2 lyric, for example, was from my perspective, it's saying you're not separate. And so what
Mm.
we're doing is we're opening and allowing,
Hmm.
or um, remembering humility. And
Mm.
so when I remember that my human self, this is my understanding for every human self, it's really important that my human self, like I do my best and I am pure hearted and I am kind and generous, but also I'm not in charge of the whole universe. There's
Mm.
such a vast web and network of life and intelligence and wisdom and energy. So it behooves me to remain very, very humble, no
Mm.
matter who the human is and no matter what the role the human is playing. So be responsible, be honorable, but also remember that it's life energy that is sharing through you that makes it possible to do what any human does. And so that's what I think the U2 lyric is saying. It's like humility
Mm.
allows magnificence to share through you, but it's also kind of like the magnificence doesn't belong to you. It belongs to everyone, right? So like I think that's true for rock musicians. When
Mm.
they sing, they're what they share doesn't belong to them. It belongs to all of humanity. And I would actually say the same thing is true for all of us. Like whatever it is that we share, and I'm talking like this might be the grandmother who sort of serves as the grandmother for the whole neighborhood. Like the emotional intelligence
Mm.
that shares through her also benefits the whole universe the same way that like a rock star in a stadium, what they're sharing that helps people connect with joy and kindness and awareness also benefits the whole as well because we're all so interconnected.
Yeah, that's really well said. I find that just that lyric, that U2 lyric of just, you know, sometimes we think it's so difficult. I get to talk to these like jujitsu, martial artists who are capable of choking a person out in seconds. And when you talk to them, I say, what does it do for you? And the word humble always comes up.
Yeah.
It humbles them because I learned to fight so I don't have to.
Yes.
I learn because I need to be humble, because I need to understand that. And it's just such a necessary part of enlightenment. Go to the divine, go to the infinite, go to the source of abundance. It almost sounds like a biblical scripture.
I would actually say, I mean, I think this is consistent with yogic teachings as well, and I see it all the time. Light dwells in the hearts of all humans. And so I think if we are in contact with the light within ourselves, there is a truth that shares through us. And I think it shares through 4-year-olds in
Mm,
the age appropriate way that it's possible to share through 4-year-olds, and it shares through 84-year-olds
mm,
in the age appropriate way that it's possible to share through 84-year-olds. But I would actually say the light is within every human, and the invitation for each of us, like we all have our different spiritual paths, we all have our different traditions, but it's to connect deeply with the light the way that we connect with the light, and then to listen in humility. To listen, it's quiet. Like the connection with the divine is very quiet. The light is always present, it's always guiding us. And when we're in that connection with the light, then there's also, I would say, there's a natural sense of good humor that arises, which is one of my
mm.
favorite things. Just that sort of like spontaneous ability to take a step back and see the humor in yourself, see the humor in the situation, see the humor that's always present. It's not like a superiority humor, like you're not laughing at anyone, but you're just sort of like laughing with there's always good humor present if you're able to take a step back.
Should be able to see the humor in everything. Uh, the Buddha, you cite him quite often, and I want to talk about how he talks about being awake and how we can recognize that. What do we take away from that lesson?
One of the things the Buddha says, and it's kind of resonant with what we've been talking about so far, is the Buddha means the one who is awake.
Hmm.
And one of the things that he says is the same awakeness that is in me dwells in all beings. And he says it's just hidden, it's within you. And so he says, let go of anything that obstructs the expression of the awakeness. So he's actually saying awakeness is intrinsic to every being. And the things that block our connection with awakeness. They are things like anger, greed, lust. So if I am being selfish, then that is actually blocking my connection with the natural awakeness within me. And so there are specific practices in the Buddhist tradition and the yogic tradition as well, where we master ourselves in relation to lust, anger, and greed. So the yogic teachings say those are the gateway to the lower self. And they say, don't give way to those because then you're going to be coming from the lower self. But the same energy transformed, like you can take the energy of anger and transform it into the energy of compassion or the energy of creativity. And you could take the energy of lust and transform it into the energy of respect, kindness, goodwill. And you could take the energy of greed and transform it into the energy of benevolence.
But Swami, sometimes that's very difficult,
Agree.
right? I mean,
Agree.
things can just get you angry sometimes, regardless.
Agree. And so then it's really helpful to have practices in your back pocket that
Mm,
work. And so this was, the example I gave about the person whose friend said something really rude and insulting. For each person, that's the invitation. So it can be simple. It can be someone cuts you off in traffic,
mm,
someone cuts you off in line. And you can take a pause, just a brief pause, and then choose how you would like to respond.
mm.
And everyone knows how it feels to jump onto the judgment train. And you also know how easy it is. Like once you're on the judgment train, it's harder to get off, right? Because then you're sort of like rolling along and then you're in this angry energy. And then you just notice more and more things that help you feel angry. The reverse is also true. And so if you're able to do something, you just take a breath.
Hmm.
And it's not, I want to be really clear about this. It's not suppressing, not repressing, not denying how you feel. You notice it. And then you say, what would I like to create? What would I like to energize in
Hmm.
my own self, in my own body, my own heart, my own mind, my own life? If I choose to create energy of anger in my body, that is affecting my heart rate.
Hmm.
That is affecting my cortisol level.
Hmm.
That is potentially affecting the way my brain is working, which regions of my brain I am strengthening. Like, am I strengthening the fear based reactive part of my brain? Or am I strengthening the long term solutions and memory and creativity and connection part of my brain? And so, one of the things that the yogis have taught, and this is true for thousands of years, but now functional magnetic resonance imaging can show this in people's brains, it's possible to retrain your brain.
Hmm.
So, every time you choose not to come from fear or anger or reactivity, you're actually creating new pathways in your brain. And over time, the structure and shape and function of your brain change in ways that
Wow.
are measurably able to be mapped now by contemporary science and imaging.
Just undue stress. We're learning today how stress is just responsible for so many illnesses in our lives.
I'm curious about this because agree, totally agree. And I think it's possible to have a healthy stress response.
Ah,
Like, so I think if there's probably many listeners who lift weights or who
good
exercise,
point.
and that would be like a healthy stress that you're giving your
Hmm.
muscles, you're giving your
Hmm.
bones, and you're increasing your muscle strength, you're increasing your bone density. So there's an example of healthy stress, or like if I'm walking across the street and a car speeds up and I need to speed up my pace in
Hmm.
order to get out of the way of the car, there's a healthy adrenaline rush that my body will give me. I'm really grateful for that. But then for each of us to have the self awareness, like if my body does not then immediately downregulate that extra adrenaline response, I need to have ways to shake it off,
Hmm.
essentially. And so that's actually a really practical thing. It's a yogic teaching, but it's also a Taoist teaching. If you just shake your body a little bit, I know it sounds really funny, but you've seen like a dog shake.
Sure. After
Yeah,
you get out of the pool. Yeah.
yep, exactly. And it can shake off that energy of stress, that energy
Hmm.
of adrenaline. And so there are actual practices that shake the body to let go of that stuck energy of stress. And they're really helpful. And you don't have to be formally trained. Like you can go put on music in your kitchen and dance for 30 seconds.
Mm.
And it'll also shake off that energy of stress.
What's another great lesson that you think of regularly from the Buddha?
From the Buddha, I mean, one of the things that I just love about him is his energy of kindness. And
Mm.
so I mean, it's a really interesting teaching, but there are stories that one of his relatives tried to kill him. So one of his relatives experienced ill will and jealousy and anger and resentment in relation to the Buddha. And this also, I think, is a really helpful teaching because it helps humans know if you experience that from a relative or from someone else, it doesn't necessarily mean there's something wrong with you. From
Hmm.
my perspective, there was nothing wrong with the Buddha. And so there's nothing wrong with you either. And the question is just, how do you choose to respond? So for the
Mm.
Buddha, one of the examples is that his relative arranged for someone to try to roll this rock off of a hill and kill the Buddha. And the Buddha saw the rock coming and just stayed steady, just remained seated and stayed steady. And the story is that the rock stopped, like right before it reached the Buddha. There's
Hmm.
another story that the relative sort of got this enraged elephant and directed it in the direction of the Buddha, hoping that the elephant would trample the Buddha. And the story is that the Buddha just remained absolutely calm and still, and the elephant just stopped right in front of the Buddha. And so I'm going to share another story and invite everyone to also tune in. Discernment is required. So the Buddha knew that for him, that was the right response for him not to move. There's another famous story about an elephant in the yogic tradition. And this story comes from Sri Ramakrishna, who was a famous teacher in India. And he gave the story of say that there's an angry elephant that is on the loose and it's running down the street, and you're in the way of the angry elephant. And the elephant tamer is yelling, "Get out of the way, get out of
Mm.
the way."
Mm.
Do you stand there and look at the elephant and say, well, everything is the divine? And so the elephant is the divine and I'm the divine. And so I'm just going to stand here.
Hmm.
Or do you listen to the elephant tamer who's yelling, get out of the way, get out of the way? And Ramakrishna's teaching was, get out of the way of the
Mm.
elephant. His teaching was the elephant is the divine in the form of the elephant. But in the consciousness of that anger, you don't need to tangle with the angry elephant right there. And so that's where discernment is always required. And so, on the one hand, the Buddha had that consciousness that allowed him to stay steady in the face of an angry elephant, and that turned out to be the right solution for him. But Sri Ramakrishna is basically saying discernment is always required
Hmm.
and practice observation. And so he's saying take care of yourself in embodiment and step out of the way of the angry elephant. And clearly, this applies to many more things than just an angry elephant.
Mm.
So, for every listener to have this sort of sense of freedom and self empowerment to practice wisdom and practice discernment in your daily life, we're all connected to wisdom and discernment always.
Hey, Joey Pinz here. Want to take your podcast experience to the next level? I'm excited to invite you to become a YouTube member. It's the absolute best way to support the channel and enhance your connection. Join our amazing community and unlock the incredible perks, custom loyalty badges, exclusive emojis, and priority comment replies. Your voice will always stand out. Be the first to watch new videos with early access, receive special membership shoutouts, and get exclusive behind-the-scenes photos and updates. Dive into content available only to our members, special videos, deep dives, and insider perspectives. Engage directly with me. Suggest podcast topics you want to hear, and even get personalized video shoutouts. Hit the join button right now and become part of something special. Let's build this amazing community together. I can't wait to welcome you as a new member. Join the Joey Pinz family today. There's a story similar to that where there's a big flood coming and there's lots of warnings to evacuate, and the person's like, I'm staying here, God's going to save me. And the police come by in a big truck and say, come on, get in the truck, let's go. And no, God's going to save me. The water starts coming, gets up a couple feet, and a canoe comes and, come on, get inside, let's get out of here. And he says, no, God's going to save me. And of course the water rises up, he's on the roof, and a helicopter comes and come get on the ladder. He says, no, God's going to save me. And of course the person drowns, and he meets his maker, says, what happened? I thought you were going to save me. And he goes, well, I sent a truck and I sent a boat and I sent a helicopter.
I love that story. Super well told.
Yeah, observation is important. Yeah, talk to me about community, love, God, divine, light, kind of themes of our conversation, but community ties in there as well, Swami.
Right. So, one of the great treasures in the yogic tradition is community. And so, it's one of the things I love. And I should say, I'm at Awake Yoga Meditation Center in Baltimore. And we were founded in 1974 by my teacher, Swami Shankarananda. And it's amazing to meditate in community. So, just different humans from all backgrounds, from all ages, all races, all nationalities, everyone can meditate. So longtime meditators are welcome, but also completely new beginner meditators are welcome. And there's an energy of, a lot of people describe it as joy. Some people describe it as calm. Some people describe it as effervescence. So there's just like, when you are with, I think you mentioned the idea of like a rock concert earlier. You were alluding to that, but how it's possible to be in a group of humans who are engaged in something that's just really beautiful. It feels amazing. And so it's like that. Meditating in community is like that. There's also a way that you just see different humans living these teachings in their daily walk, like in their daily life. And so you see like doctors, and you see attorneys, and you see contractors, and you see students, and you see people who work in healing modalities, and you see 4-year-olds, and you see 95-year-olds. And so it's just like really incredible. And we just have a lot of fun. I would say that as well. Like, community is just very, very fun.
Is there a wrong way to meditate, Swami?
Oh, super good question. Well, we share specific entry points to meditation every time we gather. And so we meet on Sundays in person and online, Tuesdays and Fridays online, and we're always sharing entry points. So if you're someone who's just brand new, the entry points that we share would be fantastic entry points. That's a really good question. I mean, like, meditation helps you meet you. It helps you come into contact with what is present within you. And so for some people, there's an immediate connection with calm. Some people feel an immediate connection with joy. Some people feel an immediate connection with just like a feeling of light or a feeling of clarity. And then I will be honest as well, then sometimes after you get in contact, like let's say that you've got in contact with this peace within yourself, then sometimes what happens is you'll notice, are there ways in which any of my thought patterns are not in the energy of peace? And so there's a gradual process where we're sort of like aligning ourselves with the energy of peace, or tuning ourselves with the energy of peace from within ourselves. And so it's completely self-paced, and it's completely self-directed. And I mean, is there a wrong way? I don't know. I just know many, many right ways.
When I started my practice, I would have it assisted, where somebody would kind of walk me through it, one of the apps or whatever it was. But now I'm completely unassisted. But as far as how much got done, it still helps to kind of, like you say, kind of introduce yourself to yourself, and kind of not really hold yourself accountable, but just kind of make sure you're going in the right direction. I find it really relaxing. My friends that oppose it, They say, "Well, I keep on thinking of things." And I say, "Well, just try to separate your thoughts. Like picture your thoughts are the clouds and you're looking at them. So try to just separate yourself. But there's no wrong way to do it, man. Try it for 5, 10 minutes. And if you like it, keep going. I don't, what else can you do?"
I love your advice. It's fantastic. I love it. I mean, I will also share. So, research is really interesting about the beneficial effects of meditation. And again, like
Mm,
I want to be clear, yogis have taught these practices for many, many centuries,
right.
and scientists are just starting to do these studies.
Mm,
But
mm,
one of the studies that was really interesting was about the effects of meditation on our telomeres. And our telomeres are protective structures at the end of our chromosomes, and they get shorter as we get older. So the idea is it's helpful to have these protective structures on the end of our chromosomes, and we would like them to stay long if we can. Meditating 12 minutes a day helps your telomeres stay long.
wow.
And I'm putting this like in very layperson terminology, but this is including research conducted by a Nobel Prize winning scientist. So just 12 minutes of meditation a day reverse the effects of stress. And one of the studies, they were looking at like moms who are taking care long term of chronically ill children. And that has a deleterious effect on
Hmm.
your telomeres. But meditating just 12 minutes a day protects your telomeres, like even in situations of great chronic stress. And the other thing, because I just want to acknowledge some of your friends might have been alluding to this as well,
Hmm.
not every person is like, yes, I can
Right.
meditate 12 minutes a day. Chanting 12 minutes a day also
Hmm.
has the protective effects on your telomeres. And
Hmm.
so, for example, at Awake Yoga Meditation Center, we do chant. So, like Sundays in the morning, we're on Eastern time, 10:50 a.m. Hop online and we chant the Gayatri. And so that chanting helps with your well being, your vitality, your longevity. That's the implications that meditation is helping your well being, vitality, and longevity.
Wow. Yeah, it is hard. It seems hard. It's just like what we talked about earlier. You just can't try so much. Just let it happen a little bit. I think that's good advice, generally speaking. Tell me about your name, Swami.
So, my teacher, Swami Shankarananda, was consecrated as a Swami by his teacher, Swami Premananda. And Swami Premananda was consecrated as a Swami by Swami Yogananda Paramahansa. So, this is a line that comes from India. Yogananda came over in 1920 to this country and started sharing the teachings. In 1928, his student, who became Swami Premananda, came over and started sharing the teachings. And then my teacher was consecrated as a Swami and founded our community in 1974. So,
Hmm.
Swami, if you want to translate it, one of the ways you could translate it is one who is sovereign of oneself.
Hmm.
And my understanding of this, it's exactly what we were talking about earlier. Every human is just given this opportunity. I am in charge of my thoughts. I am actually choosing my thoughts all the time. I am choosing my words. I am choosing my actions. That I am in charge of. I'm
Hmm.
not always in charge of the outcome. Like as a human, no human is always in control of the outcome. But I always can choose what thoughts am I thinking? What words am I speaking? What actions am I making?
Hmm.
And that allows me to live in self sovereignty. So no matter what any human outside of me is doing, I can choose to cultivate
Hmm.
this connection with the light, this connection with the kindness. And my understanding is this is just an invitation for every human to remember I have this choice, I have this chance, and every moment is a fresh choice. It's a fresh chance.
It's interesting you bring up control, Swami. So I find, and this is purely anecdotal, but I find that my friends or colleagues or people I talk to get stuck in three ways. The first one is the most common, is when they're trying to control things they can't control. And it's futile. It's frustrated. Second is holding. It's very much what you said. Is kind of holding off on happiness. I'll be happy when this happens. I'll be happy when I lose the weight. I'll be happy when I get the raise. I'll be happy if this person treats me this way. You're in complete control of your happiness, and you're kind of holding it off depending on others. And then lastly, I find, again, this is just me, anecdotal. Uh, Many people live in the past. I'm this way because of what happened, and there's lots of regrets there. Thoughts about my three conditions?
I love your observations. They're fantastic. And right, I mean, so I would also say every human has the ability to shift. We have the
Yes.
ability to change. And so if I am a person, and I think, so I was recently talking to someone, I think anyone who would self-identify as a perfectionist
Mm,
might have that issue that you were talking about, like wanting to
mm,
control things that you can't control. But I've also heard like parents talking about feeling incredible stress because they were trying to control things in their kids' lives that just are not humanly possible
mm,
to control. And so parents have reported that when they come into contact with meditation and yoga philosophy, it helps them remember that the light in the child is always there. And the
mm,
parent is there assisting and supporting the light in the child, but the parent doesn't actually own the child. And so it's important. I want to be really clear here. It's important to be a good steward, to support, to love, to care for the child, but also to remember the child comes carrying light. The child also has light. The child also has wisdom. And so then there's this way in which parents realize, like, I am coming from the light and I'm supporting the light in my child. And there's always this vast field of light that's supporting both of us. And so then there's like a less of a feeling of attachment
mm,
and more of a feeling of joy and freedom, and ability to be fully present, loving your kids, and realizing I'm doing my best. My kids are doing their best. And it also frees you to realize your kids are amazing.
mm,
Exactly as they are, your kids are amazing. And when you're in that energy of appreciating and just being amazed by your kids, I think it just brings joy. It
mm.
brings exuberance. It brings play. It brings curiosity. It brings creativity into life. So that was one. And then what was the second one that you mentioned?
When holding off on happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think this is a really common human, you could call it like predicament, or you could call
Mm,
it like a pattern, but a person who thinks, right, like you gave the example of like, I'll be happy after I lose the weight, or I'll be
right.
happy after I get my dream job, or after I get my dream apartment, or after I get my dream partner. But the thing is, if I'm living in that way, I'm continually deferring happiness
Mm,
and I'm
mm,
actually pushing it further away from me.
mm,
So the key, it's really simply stated, come from happiness.
hmm,
Come from happiness right now. Don't wait. Feel happy now. And then feel happy in your present place where you live. And then you will be happy wherever you live next. Be happy in your present interactions with other humans. And then whatever is optimal to come into your life, that will come into your life.
mm,
Be happy now in your tasks and in your work and daily life, and whatever comes to you next will be in that energy of happiness. The reverse is true, and I actually have seen this. If you are in the energy of, I don't like where I live, you will move and you will find other things you don't like. They might be
mm,
different things,
mm,
but they will be things you don't like. And then
mm,
you could move again a year later. If you're still in the energy of all the things you don't like, you will still be noticing all the things you don't like about where you're living, even though it's an entirely different place, an entirely different neighborhood. Come from happiness. It's the
mm,
best thing. Or come from like what you like about where you are now. Come from what brings you joy about where you are now. Come from what brings you fulfillment or what brings you satisfaction. And then what happens is you're creating more of that. You're coming from that.
hmm.
And your third one? What was your third one?
Living in the past, regrets.
So, practical techniques that work there, I think it really helps to acknowledge my human self had that experience.
Mm.
It's not that you're agreeing, like, say that you experienced something super traumatic. It's not that you're agreeing with the thinking or the behavior or the human or the structures that created that pain for you. Not asking anyone
Mm.
to agree with that.
Mm.
So you're saying to your human self, I honor that I had that experience that brought tremendous pain. That happened. I'm not fighting that it happened. Do I want to keep carrying the pain? And this is a choice that I am free now in this
Mm.
moment to make. Do I want to keep carrying the pain? So if I choose, I can set the pain down. I can keep the wisdom and I can set the pain down. If I'm continually thinking about the pain, if I'm continually wrestling with, well, that was wrong, and I feel resentment, and I feel frustration, and I feel anger, then I am creating in the cells of my body the effects of focusing on pain and frustration and resentment and anger. And so, again, there's nothing wrong with you. This is not about blaming you,
Mm.
it is about self freeing and self empowering you. So you say something to yourself like, I do not agree with that behavior. I do not agree with that thinking. I do love myself
Mm.
so much that in this moment, I want to express caring for myself. And so I want to feel in my heart, how does it feel when a friend cares for me? How does that feel in my heart when a
Hmm.
friend smiles at me? How does that feel if I think about, like, you might have a memory of a fond relationship with a grandparent? How does that feel if I feel in my heart the way that it felt just to have that kindness that came through that grandparent? Or if you have like a respected teacher, or you have a respected person in your life you find it easy to connect with, how does it feel when I feel in my heart the genuine, pure hearted caring, just the unconditional, unmotivated kindness? They're just being kind, they're not looking for anything in return. And allow yourself to feel that in your heart, allow yourself to feel that in your body, allow yourself to feel that in your mind,
Mm.
and notice how your body feels.
Hmm.
If you're focusing on that, notice how your heart feels if you're focusing on that. Another thing that can really help is if you allow that energy to share through you. It might start small, like it might be that you get a house plant and you're allowing that kindness to share through you, or I'm cat sitting for a neighbor right now. You're petting your neighbor's cat and you're allowing that kindness to share through you with the cat. I'm feeding their goldfish, so you can share kindness with the goldfish. But however it starts for you, allow yourself to not only feel this energy, but in ways that feel safe and appropriate for you, allow yourself to share this energy.
Hmm.
What will happen is you are shifting the brain patterns that you have in relation to that pain
Hmm.
and in relation to that past memory in such a way that you keep the wisdom. I want to be so clear about this. You're not suppressing, you're not ignoring, you're not denying.
Mm.
You're keeping the wisdom, and you are freeing and empowering yourself to share whatever wisdom you have learned, and you will help others as you allow yourself to self heal from within. And I'll also be clear, like, for some people, this might involve talking with experts who can help you to set down the pain as well. Meditation really helps you set down the pain as
Mm.
well. Yoga philosophy, people say very clearly, it really helps them set down the pain as well. So if there is like a healing modality, in addition to what I'm talking right now, you'll be guided to it and it'll just resonate with you. It'll be right for you. So to also just kind of quietly listen, there will be a feeling of opening, like a feeling of opening around your heart, a feeling of open-heartedness, and almost like there's a magnetic pull, and you just have a feeling of like, this book is right for me to read right now.
Hmm.
This meditation is right for me to read right now. Or it's, you mentioned taking a 5-minute walk. That's pretty much always helpful.
Mm.
Taking a 5-minute walk and just connecting with the energy of the earth and the trees and the sky, just taking deep breaths, allowing the deep breaths to fill you with life force. And every breath that you breathe in, it's fresh energy. Every breath that you breathe out, you can visualize that like stagnant, stuck, painful, toxic energy, it just leaves you.
Mm.
Every time we do this, we're actually shifting ourselves, and it's freeing and healing and empowering us from within.
Swami, when you're faced with a problem or a situation, is your solution more art than science? What is your ratio there? Because you definitely have a strong science sense because you talk about brain, you talk about studies, you talk about what's happening physiologically, but there's a lot of art there because there's lots of life and there's lots of love and there's lots of intangibles. I wonder, what is your answer to that? When you have a problem, what percentage is art and what percentage is science, your solution?
Is it okay if I answer by telling you last time I got my hair cut, I was
Okay.
talking with the person who cuts my hair, and I told her, I was like, you are an artist, but you're
Huh.
also a scientist because it has to be so precise.
Mm.
But it's also a thing of beauty that she helps create. I'm really grateful for the person who cuts my hair. So I think my answer is, and I think this is actually true for everyone, I think it's both.
Mm.
And I think for me, it's kind of, it's a balance. And I think I listen. And I would actually say I'm not a scientist, but I would be really curious to know if your listeners who are scientists might say the same thing.
Right.
Einstein definitely said that. Like Einstein definitely talked about the power of intuition and the way that insights would come, like when he wasn't thinking with his rational mind. And my understanding is that there are plenty of instances in scientific history where that was the case as well. So my feeling is, and I think this is probably true, like say that you're a piano player, that there's a lot of technique. So that's like the science, and there's training to it, and it takes practice, right? Like it takes, like for a surgeon, it takes practice to acquire that tremendous skill in surgery. But there's also an art to it. And
Mm.
I've talked to surgeons. I've talked to surgeons who work in the ER, and they talk about this. They talk about like, I have my own surgical style. My colleague is more of a cowboy. Like I heard a
Mm.
surgeon say that. And not that one is
They
better,
both work.
they both work.
Yeah.
But it's like each surgeon has to have both. Like they
Mm.
have to have the scientific training, but also that style, which shares through. And so my hypothesis is for every human, it's both.
Yeah,
No
sure
matter no
is.
matter what our skill set is, that there's always wisdom, there's always skill, there's always training, and you could call that the science. But then there's also always art, and there's
Mm.
always like this intuitive element. Like I would say, I was talking to a mom recently, very clearly, just like so much wisdom sharing through her, but also just incredible skill. Like to know, when do I hug my 5 year old? When do I help my 5 year old laugh?
Mm. Mm.
When do I give my 5 year old just space and know that he's going to be absolutely fine? Right. So I would say humans do this kind of on a continual basis, and that we all do both.
Yeah, you mentioned Einstein. One of his most famous quotes that I love: "Imagination is more important than intelligence." When you have one of the most, highest IQ people of all time say that, it just adds a lot of legitimacy. Swami, has there been anything in the last month or so that you've changed your mind on?
That I have changed my mind on? Super interesting question. I mean, I would say like I'm constantly receiving feedback,
Mm.
and I think it's really intelligent to respond to the feedback you receive. I mean, so I can just give you an example. At Awake Yoga Meditation, we created a new website. And so we rolled that out like just within the last week. Really exciting. And then we'll watch and we'll listen and we'll see, how do our site visitors engage with the website, and are there things that we can fine tune, like are there things that we can have be more of service. So I would say from my perspective, I'm learning and growing all the time.
Mm.
Like life is never boring, like not even for 5 seconds. And I just have like this I'm open-hearted. I'm very joyful. Like I feel very alive when I'm learning. And my understanding is that Dr. King said something along those lines. Basically, like if you're alive, you're going to be learning. If you stop learning, you might still be here in the physical, but you're kind of not really
Yeah.
alive anymore. So
Yeah.
I would actually say like super important for every listener to just ask, like, am I willing to grow? Am I willing to learn? Am I willing to understand? And there's a
Mm.
continual process of just listening and saying, like, is what we're doing helpful and hopeful and of service? Can we adjust it? Can we fine tune it in any way? I'll also be clear. I think it's very true to come, it's very important to come from like what's true to you, right?
Mm.
So you're not like blowing in the wind, and it's not like you're just seeking what's popular or easy. You're always coming from what is true. You're always coming from what is authentic and
Mm.
from what is real. And then that's what allows you to build lasting happiness, I would say. So it's not just like the things that are like popular opinion, but
Mm.
it is what stands the test of time. And so for each of us, I think, I mean, that's a question to ask listeners is think about a core value that
Mm.
you love and think about a core value that you live by. And to allow yourself to connect with how does it feel when I live in this energy of this core value? It could be anything from I value kindness. Years ago, a student said, I believe in kindness the way small children believe in Santa Claus, which
Oh.
I just considered like such an adorable saying. Yeah. But for you, whatever it is, like some people value, like, I really value being helpful. I really value being hopeful. I really value integrity. I really value being honest and kind at the same time, and to just connect with that, and that always helps see you through whatever changes. So a lot of things in time and space change, but that truth that is true to the core of your being, that which you value the most, it really does not change.
Mm.
And that helps you with wisdom weather and navigate with grace whatever the changes are that come in time and space.
Yeah, it's interesting. If I'm not learning, I'm not living. So I'd like to think I change my mind on any given subject given new evidence, right? The unrevealed evidence. But there are certain core, you know, beliefs that I have that are just intrinsic in me, that are just part of me. So I started my business in the 90s and I was working way too hard, Swami, and I was not paying, it was in my 20s, and I was not paying attention to my health. I was putting it in the back seat and I was working late nights and, drinking a lot of soda and pizza. And so next thing I know, I'm in front of the doctor. I'm at 340 pounds. And she says to me, if you don't lose this weight, you're not going to see your daughter graduate. My daughter was just born. Scared the life out of me. I can abuse myself all I want, but I now have this family and I need to take care of them. So in order to do that, I have to be healthy. So I spent the next I'm driving home upset purely at myself. This is my pie hole. Later as the months went by, I'd, punch one of my friends and said, why didn't you tell me I was so overweight? With my tongue in my cheek, of course. But I spent the next 6, 7 months, lost about 120 pounds. And you can't look at, a shift like this as a finish line. These are lifelong changes. Many people, when they lose weight, they gain it right back. You don't want to do that. So when I tell people this story, I can always see it in their eyes. So, I mean, what's your secret? What'd you do to lose all that weight? And I say, there's no secret. Discipline, willpower, focus. That's how I did it. That's how I keep it off. How does discipline play a role in your life?
So thank you for sharing your story. I would actually say, if I may, I think love was also the fuel for your
Mm. Mm.
because it's that love. Like I think love is the energy that moves the planets and the sun and the stars. And
Yeah, I know you
so
do.
your love for your
Yeah.
family was what was like the rocket fuel. Like that's an amazing story in a really short space of time. You
Mm.
made a dramatic change. I mean, full respect to you. That's incredible. And for me, listening to what you just said, love fueled your will and love fueled your discipline. And so that's what I would actually say. Like, I meditate every day, and I wouldn't miss it, but I love it, right? Like, I don't have to like arm wrestle myself to meditate. I love it.
Mm,
I love it because it's just about being in contact with the energy of the earth and the
mm,
sky
mm,
and the trees. And so I connect with the energy of nature. I connect with the energy of kindness. I connect with the energy of what are my spiritual ideals. I connect with how can I allow my spiritual ideals to share through me. And this is with everybody. Like, this is with my family and my friends and the meditation community and strangers on the bus, like at the grocery store. And so for every human on the planet, I would say get in contact with that energy of love within yourself.
hmm,
That will be the rocket fuel to be the discipline to
hmm,
make the changes you want to make. I don't disagree with you about the importance of discipline. It's a really important part of my life, but it's not hard. It's fun because
mm,
it comes from love. And so that's the thing that I would say as well, is like, just also have fun. So for listeners who are like, I want to make this healthy change in my life, connect with the energy of love and make it fun. Like,
mm.
bring lightheartedness into it so that you're not arm wrestling yourself. Like, you're being a friend to yourself. You're being kind to yourself as you make the healthy choice, as you make the healthy change.
Want to show your love for discipline, inspiration, and the Joey Pinz podcast? Now's your chance. Introducing the brand new Joey Pinz merch store, where style meets discipline. Choose from premium apparel, cozy hoodies, stylish hats, durable bags, and your new favorite coffee mug, all featuring the iconic Joey Pinz logo. Perfect for podcast fans, discipline enthusiasts, or as unique gifts for friends and family. Every purchase supports the Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations podcast, helping us continue to inspire greatness and promote positive change. Visit joeypins.com/store today and wear your discipline proudly. Joey Pinz merch. Wear it, share it, and live it. You're the first person I've ever talked to. It's made that tied love to discipline, and it just makes so much sense. It's the very first question I asked you. Where is love in your life? And there's your evidence right there. I mean, when you tie it to discipline, it's a wonderful, wonderful connection. What motivates you, Swami?
So I love life. I am so in love with life. And I'm talking about like nothing that's a big deal. Like, I'll put on my shoes to go for a walk and I'm in love with life. And I'm
Mm,
walking down the street saying hi to my neighbors and I'm in love with life. And so there's just this joy to be here.
mm,
It is a remarkable gift to me. Life is amazing. It's an adventure. It's a journey. It's a joy. And I have so much, I would say, fulfillment or satisfaction in being able to share yoga philosophy and meditation with people from all backgrounds, all walks of life. And they consistently report, this helps me let go of stress. It helps me feel more ease. It helps me feel more connected. It has transformed my relationship to myself, to my children, to my spouse, to my work, to the world. And so it's helping people live the truth of their spiritual ideal. And I also just want to say, every human names their spiritual ideal in a particular way. So for every listener, just name your spiritual ideal the way that you name it, and then live in service to that spiritual ideal. So I know how busy people are. I want to acknowledge that. But when you get up in the morning, before you get out of bed, connect with what you truly deeply love,
mm,
what you truly deeply love, like that lasting pure love that's at the core of the heart of each of us. It could just be for 3 breaths that you connect with what you truly deeply love. Breathe those 3 breaths and then visualize that what you truly deeply love, it's like paving this pathway of light through your day,
hmm,
so that even in the midst of the really intensive business meetings, or you might be in a joyful family situation, or you might be in a challenging family situation, but in the midst of all of it, that energy that is at your core, that is just solid, steady, poised, confident, clear, open to the wisdom that is within you, honoring and respecting the wisdom that is there, present in everyone else who's in that business meeting or in that family conversation, you're just connected.
Mm.
And I would actually say it's natural for us to be connected.
Hmm.
And so the yogic teachings, the teachings of yoga philosophy and meditation just help us be the natural way that we truly are if we remember what's real.
So, given the motivation of life and joy and connection, how do you measure success, Swami?
I think success is natural to every single human on the planet.
Hmm.
I think success is when I am connected to this energy of insight and inspiration within me. Success is intrinsic to my being. It can't help but share itself. And so I would say success. Do we have 8 billion people on the planet right now?
Yeah.
So there's like 8 billion expressions of success on
Hmm.
the planet right now. And I would say each person has their own unique way of expressing success. I was talking to a neighbor yesterday, 84 years old, still works, loves her work. Like, it's so beautiful to see how much she loves her work. And I was talking to someone probably in his mid 20s, and he was talking about he has a job, he got his first car. And so each person is expressing success in the ways that are natural to them and in the ways that are true to them. And so for each of us, as we connect with, for a mom, a dad, a parent, a grandparent, for as we're relating to our parents or our grandparents, as we're relating to our supervisees or our boss, whoever it is that we're relating to, as I connect with this energy of basic wholeness, basic integrity from within myself, I will be able to connect with that energy of basic wholeness and integrity within the other human.
Hmm.
And what happens then is there's like, I won't be able to help but express success, but I'm also helping everyone else succeed and thrive at the same time. That's magnetic. Like, if I'm in that energy of respect and I'm trusting the highest and the best in others, that's going to help them share the
Hmm.
highest and the best. And so, for a family, for a workplace, for an organization, for any group of humans, that's going to allow to rise into view what would otherwise not be possible to arise into view. And so, just moving in this energy of generosity is going to allow generosity to flourish and share itself.
What a wonderful anecdote. And I'm so glad we talked today. I mean, you bring a light, you can't distinguish, you can't hold back the light that's in you. I mean, everybody around you feels it and it's contagious. I thank you so much for it. And thank you so much for your time today. Anybody watching or listening, how can they get in touch with you?
So, awakeyogameditation.org is our website, and you're welcome to email me at swami@awakeyogameditation.org. We recently created the Yoga of Happiness course. It's free, it's online, everyone is invited to join, and it helps you to live and to feel directly the truth of what we've been talking about. It also has practices that help you immediately connect with this light in daily life. And I would also say, Joey, it's such a joy to talk with you. You cannot help but share the friendliness that shares through you. I think you connect with that energy of universal friendship with all of your listeners. And so it's just an absolute joy to talk with you.
Thank you so much. And you're on Facebook, Instagram, Substack, YouTube, and TikTok. We'll make sure to put it all in the show notes. Next time I'm in the greater Baltimore area, I'll let you know. Maybe we'll get a cup of tea.
I would love to have a cup of tea with you.
Very good. You be well.
Take care.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you for listening and or viewing Joey Pinz Discipline Conversations. Please share this episode with one or two of your friends who you think may benefit from the episode. Our website, www.joeypins.com. There you'll find lots of resources and you could join our mailing list. Please follow us on all our social media, Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Podcast information, the video version of our podcast is on YouTube. Please subscribe. Audio is on all major podcasting platforms. Please follow them. And if you like it, please consider giving 5-star rating. Would really appreciate that. Thank you again for listening or watching Joey Pinz Disciplined Conversations.